What do you think? Would a hurricane or tornado destroy a wind farm? You and I have an insatiable appetite for electricity. Come with me and we'll look at the issues relative to wind farms and the communities that they serve. This is the Windfarm Guy. Hi, this is Dennis Stout, and thank you for joining me for this episode of the Windfarm Guy. Today we're considering bad weather. Really bad weather, like tornadoes and hurricanes. You know, wind farms are placed in windy areas. The central tier of the United States, from Texas and New Mexico northward up through the Dakotas, those are the greatest wind resources in the country. Interesting thing about that area, that's also known as Tornado Alley. So the question begs to be asked, what would happen if there was a direct hit of a tornado on a wind turbine? Well, the short answer is nobody knows. This hasn't happened yet. To my knowledge, there's never been a direct hit on a wind turbine. But it would make a mess. I know of a wind farm. They were building the second phase. The first phase was operational, and the second phase was under construction. And when a tornado came through, well, the long story short is it did not damage anything in the operating wind farm, but it did move some things around in the phase that was under construction, because they weren't bolted down or anything. They were just laying on the ground, and so it did damage some things there. As far as I'm concerned, there isn't anything that can withstand a direct hit of an EF5 tornado. Make a mess, just like you make a mess on a house or a business or something like that. But when that mess is made, it'll be cleaned up, the turbine and equipment would be repaired, and the electricity would continue to be generated. That's why we have insurance. That's why you have insurance too. It needs to be noted that of all the ways of generating electricity, whether it's a gas-fired power plant, coal-fired, nuclear, whatever, if one of those power plants were hit by a tornado, it would likely shut that power plant down for weeks, if not months, as they were doing the repair work on that. But with a wind farm, just the turbine or turbines that are damaged would be shut down. Maybe a string of them would be shut down, but the rest of the power plant, if it's not damaged, it would continue to operate and generate electricity for the area. So in a sense, the wind farm would add stability and add electricity to the area when another power plant would might be shut down. There are other wind farms that are placed in an area where there's a different kind of weather-related issue, hurricanes. As a hurricane were to hit a power plant, a wind farm, the question is asked, well, wouldn't that make the wind turbines spin out of control? Wouldn't there be runaways and so on because of all those sustained high winds? And let me just say that's pretty unlikely. I know online there's all sorts of video of runaway wind turbines as they're spinning out of control, but today's wind turbines are very sophisticated. They have some automated braking systems that are redundant, and they're monitored, and they will shut down either automatically or have someone shut them down for as they're monitoring things. But the reality of it is they're going to stop. They're going to brake because there's a cut in and cut out wind speed. And so when the wind gets above that speed, they will shut down. If a hurricane were to be approaching a wind farm, several things would be going on, but they would be shutting those things down, and they would be locking them. And by locking them, what I mean is, many of the turbines have a flywheel that have a hole in it, in that flywheel, and they line that hole up with a steel plunger and shove that steel plunger through it. And when it is locked like that, that rotor assembly is not going to turn. Those blades are not going to turn. They'll do that. They'll feather the blades and turn the nacelle. They'll do everything they can to make the wind turbine and the wind farms have the smallest wind profile. And as the hurricane blows through, after the hurricane blows through, will there be damage? Yes, of course there will. Will there be runaways? I seriously doubt it. It's pretty unlikely. I know of a wind farm on the coast that when they were still in the planning stage, the question was asked, what if a hurricane came through? Because one of the first casualties with a hurricane can be the loss of power. Maybe a tree falls down on the power line or something like that. And so that was brought up, and it was like, you make a good point, because if that were to happen, there would no longer be power to the turbine in order to do those safety maneuvers and lockdown and all of that. And so because of that, because someone asked the question, because of that, they added a generator into the design so that even if the power to the whole area is knocked out, they still will have, today, they still have the power to do the safety maneuvers in all of their turbines to lock them down, make them to where they're ready for that hurricane's arrival. Wind farms are in windy places. They do there are some risks with wind, but that's just part of it. They're still a great part of our country's energy mix. And if you have the opportunity to be a part of a wind farm, I encourage you to seriously think about it. This is Dennis Stout, and I'm the Windfarm Guy. Thank you for watching. Working together, we can make good energy decisions and save our planet. I am the Windfarm Guy.